JoyNews. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We are on DTT because we're free to wear. Coming up this morning, First Deputy Speaker Jose Wusu downplays impact of MP losses on parliamentary proceedings despite the booting of notable majority members in just ended primaries. We'll hear from watchers of the political space with an impact analysis on this situation. Also, the Electoral Commission says no winner was declared in the Yendi contest. Elsewhere, 3 countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, quit ECOWAS. We'll hear from security analysts on what this means to ECOWAS. We have details coming up shortly on JoyNews desk. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. The West Africa Network for Peace Building, WANEP, says it has dismissed claims by the 3 countries that have exited ECOWAS. Yesterday, the West African junta-led states, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, announced the exit of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, over concerns of lack of support towards the essential fight against terrorism and insecurity. But speaking to JoyNews after an announcement, the executive director of WANEP, Chukwuemeka Eze, said their claim cannot be true because the security and economic situations of the 3 countries had already worsened.
Multilateralism is challenged globally now, whether it is the UN, the African Union, or ECOWAS. So one would argue that even though it is unfortunate, it was the signs were already there that this could happen because member states were losing faith in intergovernmental organizations.
I see. So what could this mean for the bloc?
I think it's a huge challenge, especially for a region that is touted as the beacon of integration. ECOWAS continued to be a reference point amongst other regional economic communities in Africa and even beyond, as a region that was already ahead of others with regards to its integration policy. And therefore, I think that the coming together of what I would describe as the coalition of the willings of the junta is a huge challenge, not just with regards to the peace and security situation in the Sahel region, but also the entire region is challenged by this unfortunate development.
I see. So in terms of mediation, what can be done?
Well, I think that without preempting the ECOWAS rules and procedures, I think that ECOWAS will regard this decision as more or less as a decision taken by an illegal junta and probably will continue what they should have done even prior to this period. Because at some point, and in fact, I want to distinguish between the ECOWAS Commission and the authority of health.
So that was a conversation with Carlos Coloni. Let's stay on this because I've been joined by Ghana's ambassador in Burkina Faso, Boniface Gambela, for more. Thanks so much for your time, sir. First of all, do you agree with WANEP's position that the reason cited by the 3 countries for leaving the bloc is untrue?
Good morning, and morning to all listeners. It's a difficult situation to say yes or no, because these are sovereign countries making their own decisions. This bloc, this AES group, feel that they are not being supported by their own brothers and sisters in terms of ECOWAS and the African Union. So they have a fight to fight. They came to power. Apparently, their reason is that they want to fight terrorism. Because if you take a place like Burkina Faso, where over 60% of the land coverage is under terrorist control. So the junta sees itself as a patriotic body that has come to recover its territory for its country. And so when they sit back and they get sanctions from the ECOWAS that is supposed to unite them, they feel that the ECOWAS is letting them down. And so it's purely a decision of a group saying that they are patriotic juntas. And they feel, from what they say on the ground and what we hear and what they state, they write, is that their countries are being exploited, and they are trying to prevent or undo the exploitations because of the issues of their resources. They see the poverty everywhere in their countries. So for them, it is that the regional bloc, they feel the regional bloc is not doing enough to fight terrorism. While they say we want to fight terrorism, the regional bloc is talking of constitutional government. So they find it very difficult.
Has the diplomatic corps in Burkina Faso been notified officially, especially because that's where you operate, and that will no longer be an ECOWAS territory?
They haven't formally notified any of us. Is the government spokesperson we read from the media so far.
Let's come to Ghana, because our diplomatic ties with Burkina Faso nearly stalled last year when the ambassador was recalled from Ghana. I mean, with all of these happening, don't you fear that the latest development will further deteriorate our relations with them?
Never at all, because the ambassador was not recalled. He was called for consultation. Let's get that correct. He was called for consultation, and he returned. I was invited, and we did discuss the issues, because the issues at that time was about finding the resources to support Burkina Faso. Perhaps it was the angle in which the presentation was made, which they went on to understand. And the relationship between Ghana and Burkina under the current government is something to say will never break down.
But the immediate threat to Ghana, actually, as President Akufo-Addo raised some days ago, is a concern about extremism groups operating closer to our borders. What immediate steps would you recommend that we take?
I recommend that the initiative put in Ghana by the president of Ghana, Nana Addo, the Accra initiative, should be reinforced and strengthened, because since Nana Addo initiated that initiative, it has helped a lot. There are issues we cannot mention anyway, but the alliance between Ghana and the other countries, the coastal countries, under the Sahel, under the Accra initiative, has opened up very good operational process for both countries, and even for the other coastal countries with Burkina Faso. You know, the Accra initiative is the group of countries bordering with Burkina Faso. So when President Nana Addo decided to get these countries together to mobilize resources to support Burkina Faso and mobilize the security services to exchange experiences and other things, it has so far worked very well, because under that relationship, Burkina Faso today, I can say, compared to the past circumstances where they couldn't deal with terrorists, since that initiative came on and the relationship built and the support and experiences exchanged, what Burkina Faso is doing now against terrorists is highly remarkable.
Well, I mean, that's interesting to note, but also Ghana depends largely on exports of onions and other staples. Can we survive? I mean, because can we actually survive the impending hurdles that may arise through the departure of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger?
We can survive. The problem of these exports is the issue of ECOWAS sanctions. If we don't have ECOWAS sanctions, everything is free. And even with this, their decision, I don't see anything going to affect us. Because Ghana and Burkina Faso are brothers and sisters. That's what we must know. It's just that the Berlin Conference divided us. The 1825 or 1875 Berlin Conference. That is the only difference. But Ghana and Burkina Faso, if you get closer to the border, you won't even know the difference. And the government here sees the president of Nana Addo as their model, their father. So the relationship is just so high that this change is just within the Sahel. It's a political issue of exploitation, of governance, of looking for freedom or looking for independence. And that will not affect Burkina and Ghana, because Burkina depends on us a lot, and we depend on Burkina a lot. Brothers and sisters don't, even brothers and sisters fight, they sleep together.
Boniface Gambela, I'm grateful for your time, sir. He's Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso. I'm grateful that you made time this morning. Let's take a break on JoyNews Desk. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to JoyNews Desk. To the rest of our story, the Ghana Cote d'Ivoire Cocoa Initiative is reporting that both countries are grappling with the challenge of cocoa smuggling through unregulated markets. Since its inception in 2018, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have expressed willingness through the framework to define a common sustainable cocoa strategy with a view to increasing the prices received by cocoa farmers in their respective countries in a sustainable manner. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Blessed Soga on Foreign Affairs, Executive Secretary of the Cocoa Initiative, Alexa Sanvo, made a strong case for an increase in the income difference for farmers. Mr. Sanvo, however, highlighted the surge in smuggling in cocoa into other unregulated markets, while expressing confidence that traceability policy initiated by Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire will tackle the situation.
And because both countries are talking, are exchanging data. So recently in one of my board meetings, we were very clear. Both countries have exchanges, and Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana have presented some of the actions, joint effort at border. But the issue is even less at the border between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Both countries are facing smuggling outside the country through other countries. So,
okay, not between Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, right?
Between Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, anyway, when a farmer has a fit in both countries, you can't stop him to buy wherever he feels right. But that one is not where the problem is. The problem is trucks coming to Ghana and vice versa. This is less, and it's becoming less because the way we have set the price in both countries, the gaps is so close that doesn't allow anyone to have benefit by smuggling cocoa.
So people are rather moving in.
Well, I'm not saying they're rather moving, but there are others that are interesting to go and look where there are no regulations. That's how it works. But for us, we are not so worried because the key market for the African countries are Europe. And Europe has put some rules where today Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana have implemented traceability system, right? Which means that if you go and buy your cocoa elsewhere, well, you have to probably fraud for the data to prove where your product is coming from. So for us, this situation will probably benefit us because then only if you buy from Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana very clearly with the full traceability that prove that you are not buying from certain areas and A, B, C, D, then it will be good. So
and that even reminds me about the EU policy. That I guess that's what you're referring to.
That's what I'm referring to, yes.
Would it not rather impoverish the average farmer? Or
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all, because then cocoa, as I said, the value for this cocoa will be much more clearer because it will be traceable. We know where it's coming from. There are costs associated to it, and anyone who wants to buy this cocoa will will have to pay to this price.
Ghana is, of course, facing some economic challenges. Revenue from cocoa is also being strained as well. At the same time, we're seeing farmers asking for some subvention on fertilizers and all of that. But government says, well, we're running an austerity plan with the IMF, so these things would have to hold on a bit. In the wake of these economic challenges, what recommendation do you have in terms of how countries and governments can help these cocoa farmers to tackle
It's difficult for me to talk on what Ghana will do strategically, but what I could say is that today we reach a market level that is now advantage. So if we run properly, as you know, we sell forward. So the cocoa we are selling will be for the next year crop. But that process in the current price market will enable us to cover and to carry on good investment that we can bring back to the farmer. So for that perspective, I'm not so worried. Instead, I think farmers need to be motivated because the demand is there. The price, higher price we have been fighting for is there. And only what is needed is to get cocoa.
Let's take a break on JoyNews desk. We are back with more. Welcome back. In a devastating turn of events, economic activities in the town of Saikope in the North District has grounded to a standstill just 4 days after the collapse of the Akaka River Bridge. The incident occurred when a heavy truck carrying loads of salt attempted crossing the bridge, leading to its collapse. The bridge, a vital lifeline for the local community, connects Saikope to neighboring areas. The collapse has left residents, motorists, and travelers stranded. Ivy Setoji has more.
Is Saikope in the North District, and behind me is the Akaka River. And 5 days ago, the bridge collapsed, making activities, especially business activities, come to a standstill. Now, most of the residents, travelers, and motorists have to park at the other side, take a boat to wherever they are going. This actually leads to drop from Adidome. What the residents are asking government to do is for an immediate action to be taken as soon as possible to get the bridge fixed. One of the residents we spoke to earlier said that maybe it was a way God is just showing the government something, or a way to make the government wake up to do something about the bridge, because it has been in a bad shape for some time now. So the residents are asking government to urgently do something about this bridge, fix it immediately, because as you can see at the back, the truck is still in the water. The owners are trying their best to fix it.
Residents, travelers, and motorists, including Okada riders, have been speaking with JoyNews.
The government should at least help us as quickly as possible, because especially the children, imagine the children crossing it. It's not a nice experience at all.
Honestly, I didn't think I would meet this on the way. For the fact it's not my first time on the queue, so I wasn't really scared about it. But the bridge there hasn't been negotiated for a long time, so I think this is just, since we like action, this is just the best action we can take for prompt care to be taken.
Naturally, seeing this horrific situation is a little bit tough for me. And today too is the first time I'm crossing this kind of river with a canoe, and I think all these things couldn't have happened if maybe structural tests should be done, should be doing about this thing. I think this shouldn't have happened. And then moreover too, the government should just speed up and then fix it up so that people can access the road.
And me too, I fear water a lot. So when I was on the canoe, I was seriously afraid. Maybe somebody can fall into this water and lose his or her life. So I plead with the government of Ghana to do something about the bridge. That will help the people, not only the people, but everybody.
After all, Ten bridge agbele ge mi le block ka ne be do we nka anu ya ma do ma de dago fi agbele school vi o han wole fopam school vi afopam ne ta ne be wole quickly na ba we na ni pata na be school vi o school ga man de here up to now na de do la ko va gi ne mo nye to ji fu ki ko le to tule ge ko va dale ja de ge o tel te fa ka yibo.
We are hoping the government does something about the situation as early as possible. My name is Ivy Satoji for Joy News.
Professor of Education Leadership at the University of Cape Coast, George K.T. Odro, has called on the Ministry of Education to, as a matter of urgency, review the free SHS policy. He says that the program is currently saddled with a number of challenges, including funding, equity, and access and other concerns. Professor Odro disclosed this at the 40th anniversary of Creator Schools in Tema.
The Creator Schools has contributed its quota to the country's development through the students it has churned out. At a Durbar to climax the 40th anniversary celebration, the school displayed some aspects of Ghanaian culture through dance performances, its 40 years journey with recitations, choreography, but to mention a few. Guest speaker at the event, Professor George K.T. Odro, who is a professor of educational leadership at the University of Cape Coast, believes, as a way of ensuring quality education, there is the need to review the free SHS policy. He explains, reviewing it will look at funding, equity, among other issues.
Review simply means evaluating processes to see what is working, so you strengthen that, what is not working, so that you find ways of correcting the wrongs. That is review. And so I urge the Ministry of Education to think critically about a call for stakeholder engagement to look at the free SHS, so that we can put in place strategies that will make the free SHS more beneficial to those who need it, more beneficial to the disadvantaged people. Unless as a nation we put in measures to bridge the gap between the disadvantaged and the advantaged, the rural and urban will not be improving. Our educational system will continue to suffer. Let's put away politics and look at education from education.
Professor George Odro says the focus on passing exams rather than quality education is worrying.
Making the curriculum relevant, getting the necessary things that will help teachers to deliver, getting the necessary things that will help learners to learn well, all those things are inputs that work towards quality. If we pride ourselves with only examination results, at the end of the day, they will come out with first classes and all those things, but they get to the factories and they cannot work. They get to the hospitals and they cannot work, and people will be dying. They get to the banks and even simple accounting becomes useless. So that is why we need to take quality issues very serious. And I always advocate that we must aim at quality indexed access expansion underpinned by equity. And that is what we need.
Meanwhile, Director of Creator Schools, Evelyn Jampa-Markin, says, despite the challenges of running a private institution, Creator Schools is adopting new ways of producing students who will benefit from holistic education. She was unhappy as some parents have less time for the academic needs of their wards.
Comparing 20 years, in the early days of Creator, and 20 years down the line, there's so much difference with the type of learners we encounter in our classrooms. But teachers do receive in-service training as to modern ways to give off their best. So it's helping, though difficult, but we are managing. 100% in agreement with what the guest speaker said. It's like if your school is not performing, then you are not doing well. But that shouldn't be. The essence is to have positive impact on the children by what they can demonstrate, what they know. For example, this AI is a replica of what is happening now. Students want to pass, but they don't want to learn.
Creator Schools awarded teachers and individuals who have helped the school over the years.
She lost her father in a horrific car accident in 2019. 2 years later, a 7-year-old brother was also killed by a speeding vehicle. This is the sad story of 15-year-old Mary Mayo. Mary has turned trauma into inspiration, an inspiration that has birthed the development of device that could help lessen the bloodshed on Ghana's roads. Joy Prime's Lois Shola Adeyemi has more in this report.
This is the Aflao Tema Highway. This stretch has claimed many lives, including Mary's father, a sleepy driver who killed him in a terrible head-on collision in 2019.
I lost my dad through road accidents. The report that came out was that the driver was dozing off, so the accident happened in such a way that my father was coming from Togo to Ghana with some friends, and then a car was coming in front of their car, so they were trying to dodge the car, but unfortunately it collided. Then my father passed away sadly.
The accident stole the young lady's source of joy and left her with a heavy load of traumatic experiences.
When I lost my dad, when I heard the news, I decided to stop schooling because my dad was my favorite person in the world, and then without him, I'm like nothing. So I decided to stop schooling because when I go to school and then I see my friends start bringing them to school, then I start crying, or I decide to take my bag and go home. So it hasn't been easy since I lost my dad. It has been 3 years now, but still when I see other people with their dad, I still feel sad.
As if that was not enough, Mary's scars were pierced by another tragic accident. Her 7-year-old brother was also killed by a speeding vehicle. But in the darkness emerged a story of resilience and hope. Mary found strength in her grief.
Because of pain. So when I saw that, I promised my mom that I will not let anyone in my family go through that pain again. So I want to be a surgeon to help everyone who wants to be operated to be free from injuries, so that we will promote healthy living and then families can live together without losing any loved ones through accidents. When this step came to our schools, that anything like what we want to invent, any idea, we can bring it out. So I and my friends decided to design a motor and a car accident control device. And the name of the device is Anti-Sleep Alarm for Motorists.
She and her colleagues of Young Innovators are working hard to reduce the carnage on Ghana's roads with this new device.
This device alerts drivers whenever they are dozing off when driving. So this device is programmed and designed in such a way that the eye blink sensor coordinates the eye and then detects when the driver is dozing off. So after it has detected that the driver is dozing off, the buzzer starts to beep. And if the buzzer beeps for some time and then the driver regains consciousness, he or she is good to go. But when the buzzer continues to beep and then the driver does not regain consciousness, the car will slow down and stop automatically. After that, our GSM module in the car will send an SMS and then also the location of the driver to any emergency contact on the driver's phone that is inactive for his or her loved ones to come and rescue him.
According to data from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, of the Ghana Police Service, road accidents increased by 5.5% in 2023, raising serious safety concerns. Mary believes their project, when given the needed attention, could help to reduce the current trend. Mary may have lost her dear ones to road accidents, but she and her teammates are resolute in changing the narrative with their invention. Lois Shola Adeyemi's report for Joy Prime.
Let's now turn our attention to Parliament, where the Commissioner General of the GRA is appearing before the Public Accounts Committee. There seems to be a problem with that feed. We'll try and get that for you and take you live to Parliament for details of that. But let's take a break now and bring you business shortly.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Desk with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is getting ready to announce a new policy rate this morning. This was after it met last week to review developments in the economy. Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison has given some mixed signals ahead of this announcement after arguing a tight monetary policy stance doesn't mean the rate will not be reviewed downwards. Various business associations have made a strong case for reduction in the policy rate, which stands at 30%. And this is due to the consistent decline in inflation rate over the past months. Now, the policy rate often influences the cost of credit. We shall be giving you more updates as and when development unfolds from that corridor. A while longer with the Bank of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana has approved the recapitalization plans for submitted and undercapitalized banks. That's according to a report by Staff International Monetary Fund, dubbed 2023 Article 4 consultation. More in this report.
Undercapitalized banks will at a minimum inject 1/3 of the capital required annually for each of the 3 years ending in 2025 to reach a 13% capital adequacy ratio without regulatory forbearance. The BOG will therefore initiate corrective measures by the end of March 2024 against banks that fail to uphold these recapitalization requirements. In the short term, the Bank of Ghana stands ready to deploy contingency measures if needed to ensure financial sector stability. The IMF said this move will ensure that banks' capital needs have been estimated based on reasonable forward-looking assessments of losses from government debt restructuring and increases in non-performing loans. However, most banks have already submitted their recapitalization plans.
And that's it for business. I am Pius Kojo Baka.
Welcome back to JoyNews. Next to the rest of our stories, and parents in Chimbulugu in the northeast Gonja district of the Savannah region want authorities to enforce rules to stem absenteeism in the basic schools. They say this is hampering the academic growth of the wards. Martina Bugari has more.
Absenteeism is very common in most schools in northern Ghana, and one such school is the Chimbulugu DA Primary School. The children spend just 2 hours on Friday in school.
They say is the key to unlocking potentials in communities. But can that be said about the Chimbulugu DA Primary School? It is 11 o'clock and they are closed for the day. These students are expected to write the final exams with their colleagues in big cities. Will education unlock a potential in this community? We get to speak to some of the students to understand what is happening. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Why? No school today?
Yes.
Is it that you came and there's no school, or you didn't come at all? You can ashukuru more.
Kakana.
Kaboleno.
At this point, I had to switch to the local dialect to speak to Suleimana Mubarak, and he says only one teacher was in school today but has left.
I came to school at 7:30 and closed at 11. Our madam came, but she taught only one class and said we should go home. But we are still here.
Mohammed Ayuba, a member of the community, said he was also shocked when the kids said they had closed at 11 o'clock.
So them coming home early. So I contacted them and asked them, and they said
Their masters are not in school today. It's only one madam who came, and she also left. That's why they are going home.
A parent, Adam Mahamadu, said he had inquired from the teachers if Friday has been added to the rest days for schools, but he was not given response.
That is the situation. The Friday absenteeism is an issue. I asked the head teacher, I know it's Saturday and Sundays that are for rest. Have they added Friday too? But he didn't give me a response. Truth be told, the teachers do not come every day. Some come whilst others don't come at all. You will see one today and the next time it's a different teacher.
The head of supervision at the Education Directorate of the Northeast Gonja District, Idris Zakaria, said the teachers had earlier been cautioned on the issue of absenteeism.
Your call came. We called the school improvement officer for the area. Then he was as shocked as anything because per his explanation on Wednesday, he met with his head teacher and his staff on this same issue. And per his explanation, they all agree they were faulty, and for that matter, they will not do that again. So when your call came and we also called him, he was shocked that after meeting them just 2 days ago, they still went ahead and behaved the same way. The reason for why he has met them. So we told him to query them and then let them respond to the query latest by Monday to this directory as to why disciplinary action or sanctions should not be taken against them.
And as I wrap up the bulletin this morning, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjournline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.